Hey, how's it going, friends? Thank you for tuning in to VR Revelations. If you just randomly happened to stumble upon this video on YouTube, then welcome. Please make sure you subscribe and make sure you give the video a like. And for those of you who have been subscribers, for a while now, thank you for tuning in. I know it's been a while since I made any videos. Of course, most of my videos tend to focus on, international politics and things of the like, because of course I think that's very important, and it's one of my, main points of interest, right? What is happening in the world. But I also like to, talk about other topics, theories, right, and speculations. And of course, as you might have already been able to tell by the thumbnail of this video, in this video I want to talk about aliens, UFOs, right? This is a big topic of debate nowadays. Of course, it has been for many years now, especially, since back in the days when we had, for example, the Roswell crash in New Mexico, right? And that gave way to a whole bunch of speculation of an alien spaceship, right? Crash landing and being recovered by the U.S. government and being covered up, which, gave way to a lot of Hollywood movies, which have popularized the topic, right? And all this speculation surrounding UFOs. Of course, many of us, or most of us, have seen some Hollywood movie about aliens, whether it paints them in a malevolent way, or as a threat to humanity. I'm sure most of you have seen E.T. or Independence Day. But in reality, we really don't have any clear evidence or proof that other intelligent life exists in the universe besides, the human race, us human beings here upon Earth. And when we talk about intelligent life, of course, we're talking about some other species that's rational, that, can communicate like we human beings can, who can express themselves, who can create things, right? Technologies and civilizations and things like that. And of course, there's a whole bunch of theories out there, and we're going to get into that in this video. I'm of course going to give you my own personal opinion, how I've changed my mind throughout the years, and I would gladly like to hear your guys' opinions down in the comments below, guys. Of course, my intention is never to sort of try to impose my opinion as a matter of fact, but sort of as food for thought, right? Something to think about. Of course, I believe my own opinion because that's just the conclusion I have reached in my own mind. And of course, there is there's a popular saying that every mind is its own world, right? Nobody will completely think like another person, right? At some point, you're going to have a difference of opinion. But, there's a lot of speculation on this topic. So let's jump right into it. I decided to make this video because we just had a testimonial from some UFO whistleblower before the U.S. Congress, and this guy made some wild allegations, right? And a lot of people have covered this topic about this testimonial. You can go look it up yourself on YouTube. Just search UFO testimony before Congress. I don't remember what the guy's name was, but essentially they asked him a whole bunch of questions, and he had some wild allegations or statements. Pretty much he said that aliens do exist, they have been visiting the planet, that the U.S. government has recovered bodies and spaceships, and that human beings have been murdered and killed over this conspiracy to cover up this phenomenon, right? Now, these are, when I was watching this, I was thinking, you might as well just say that, there's an alien colony underneath the White House that is thriving, something like Men in Black, right? Which is what this guy was pretty much making it seem like. Like there's aliens all over the place, that they are real. So, anyways, none of that is verifiable nor provable. Of course, these are just more allegations, right? It's pretty much what we have had for the last couple of decades. People just claiming to have this information, to know that aliens actually exist, yada, yada, yada. But in reality, we still don't have any proof, right? I don't care if you tell me that, there's an alien overlord who is speaking to the president behind closed curtains, that, they take the president on trips to their alien planet on some other galaxy, and that they're having these back and forth relations. What that doesn't do me any good if I can't actually see proof, right? It's all just fictional. It's all just fairy tales. But I think one thing we can all agree on, even those that, don't necessarily believe that there could even exist, that there could be, an intelligent civilization outside of our own, is that we are actually, at least seeing something that's, that's out of our control, something that's not from this planet, right? We've all seen countless fake videos of UFOs that have been created, right, with special effects and things like that, or others who have faked UFO sightings, or who lie about, testimonies and things like that. But as we've seen from a lot of these testimonies before Congress, and a lot of these ex-military personnel or ex-government personnel, and some of the footage that has come from the government or from the military, especially in the US, but other governments around the world also have footage, right? It's not just, based in the US. This is all over the world. And I'm sure you probably know people around you, family and friends, that have seen things that are otherworldly, so to speak. And so, as I always like to think, right, where there is something fake, that means there is something that's genuine, that's true, right? As a man once said, if there's a fake dollar bill, that means that there is a real one, a genuine one, right? That it was copied from. So even though we have a lot of fake UFO videos or sightings or supposed, accounts of witnesses, we know that there's at least a small percentage that is true, that are real. However, they might not be explainable. And as we've seen, or if you've been looking into the topic, a lot of these testimonies prove exactly that, right? A lot of these ex-military, pilots in the Air Force that have seen these sort of spheres hovering in the air and then, taking off within the blink of an eye, and, moving in weird ways without no visible engine system, right? No heat signatures on the thermals, on the instruments. That most of these witnesses state that they can't explain what they were seeing, but they know that they were seeing something that, seemed intelligent. Now, so we can come to the conclusion, I think, that there are these otherworldly things, right, that seem to be visible at different times to people. And so, of course, we can term that a UFO, right? An unidentified flying object. Now, that's the thing. Immediately when you think about a UFO, you think about these, giant-headed green beings from another planet. And I think we all have that image because of Hollywood, right? Because of these, the way that Hollywood and the movies have painted this picture of what an encounter with another civilization would look like. Now, I'm going to touch a little bit on the religious aspect of this, because I think that is where, or at least where I connect the dots, right? So, do I believe in alien life? Do I think there are other beings besides human being, intelligent beings, that exist? Well, yes. And for many years, I was a big UFO believer, or, I was an avid speculator, if that's even a word. And, I would always go online and, search stories about UFOs and sightings and all of these things. And, I would theorize about that. And oftentimes I would daydream, about an alien invasion or like alien contact, right, with an alien civilization. And I would just dream of like seeing a giant spaceship just all of a sudden appearing before the human race, and just the shock and awe and the change to reality that this would imply, right? As we've often seen in Hollywood movies. And it was really cool to think about this, right? To speculate on the idea of another possible intelligent race, far more superior and advanced to our own, in some faraway galaxy. Just trying to imagine of the amazing technologies they must have, their civilization, their cities, or whatnot, right? The ability to travel through space, in these vast distances and light years. And so, of course, we have all of those movies out there, right? Like Star Wars, the Star Trek, all these TV series, and I don't have to tell you about my own fantasies about UFOs and things like that. There's all this content out there, right, that has already taken care of that. But again, that gives way to a lot of speculation. Now, at around 2013, I read the Bible, right? I was always an avid reader. I like to read, books on theories, on philosophies, and I would download and read, like, let's say Plato's Republic, right, or like ancient texts like that. And I ended up reading the Bible, and I read the history of Christianity since the Roman times. I read about the U.S.'s history and how Christianity has influenced these past 2,000 years, of recent history. Of course, right now it is the year 2023. Most people aren't even aware of this because we count from the birth of Jesus, right? So there's no question that religion, especially Christianity, has played a big role in shaping the modern world, especially the Western world, that being, like Europe and the United States. Of course, the U.S., whether you want to admit it or not, is a Christian nation. The majority of the population is Protestant. It was founded on Christian principles. And of course, the president right now, Joe Biden, is a, supposed Christian, a professing Christian himself from the Catholic, branch or denomination. And of course, it's not like I'm in the minority, right? This is the majority of the Western population. But what I do think and what I came to realize is that the Bible doesn't deny aliens. I think that's the big conflict, or that's sort of like one of the things that unbelievers or people who don't believe in religion, whether they're atheists or whatnot, agnostic, they try to sort of, counter Christianity with, right? Well, hey, they say, well, look, we're seeing all these UFO sightings, so clearly something's out there. How do you explain that, right? If God created human beings, and only human beings alone, right? And the Bible talks about the human race and how it's a special creation before God, then how do you explain an alien race? Well, when you actually, read the Bible, you come to realize that the Bible actually talks about aliens. Now, here is the thing. What are we talking about when we say aliens, right? If we actually go by the definition of aliens, well, we have illegal aliens, right? Like the US is always calling foreigners illegal aliens, right? Those who illegally come into the country, because aliens implies that they're foreign to the land, right? So, just on a very basic definition, an alien is somebody who's a foreigner to that place, right? So aliens in the universe, of course, are aliens because they're foreigners to planet Earth. And so the Bible actually talks about, aliens in that sense, because the Bible talks about other beings, intelligent beings, besides human beings, right? And of course, I'm talking about angels. Now, oftentimes when you read the Bible, you will realize that when the Bible is talking about angels, well, in the Greek language, or in the ancient Greek language, angels means messengers. So, oftentimes when the Bible is talking about angels, it's referring to when God would send prophets to warn the people of impending judgment because of evil and things like that. But there's also a clear distinction because the Bible does talk about different angels, and it actually names them, right? They're called cherubims and seraphims, and these are actual supernatural beings different from human beings, right? We're talking about intelligent beings who are supernatural in nature, who the Bible describes as having wings, right? As worshiping before God, as being, God's instruments at times to warn humanity, and at times to, bring judgment to humanity. And of course, famously, Lucifer was one of these angels, the most beautiful according to the Bible, and he fell from grace, right? He fell from his position because, of course, him being a very intelligent being, a special creature in that way, in that sense, and in that, he was above all other angels. He tried to be like God, like his creator. And so, of course, you all know the story. He was cast out from heaven, and now he's trying to corrupt the human race. Well, here's where the connection with UFO sightings comes, right? Now, my belief now, the conclusion which I've reached is that these UFO sightings are angels, right? Now, if you think about it, I think Commander Frazier, the Air Force guy that testified, that gave a testimony about seeing this like orb with like a light inside of it, flying around and then just disappearing in the blink of an eye, talked about that, he wasn't seeing some sort of flying disc like we see in Hollywood, but he was clearly seeing something that almost seemed supernatural. Now, it's very interesting because if you look deep into the topic, a lot of these ufologists, I guess you would call them, have come to the conclusion that maybe these things aren't necessarily traveling in the way that we would imagine or the way that Hollywood paints them, right? With, like, let's say like a spaceship that can travel through some wormhole, or, at really high speeds or at the speed of light throughout the universe. But a lot of these ufologists have come to the conclusion that these things might be interdimensional, meaning that, as we've seen in a lot of testimonies, these things disappear in the blink of an eye, right? And a lot of these ufologists or experts have come to the conclusion that maybe they're traveling through some sort of portals from other dimensions. Of course, many of them aren't religious or anything, but it's sort of hinting at what the Bible tells us, right? That there is this invisible world that's not visible to human beings, right? That there is another element to our existence. There is a spiritual element, right? And, I don't know exactly how that is. I don't know exactly how these things are, but the Bible clearly talks about other dimensions, about angels coming to the planet Earth to sort of, do God's work, to bring messages, and to also bring judgment, right? And these angels from the Bible come from a spiritual dimension. And so I think that sort of plays into these sightings, these weird sightings where they see these sort of orbs flying around. A lot of the times they are disc-shaped, right? But we tend to think of them like in a physical way, like a human way, right? Like they're made out of metal. But who knows what they're made out of, right? That's where the speculation plays part. And so what I think is going on right now is that we're seeing angels, right? These supernatural beings that are coming to the planet Earth. And, I believe this is sort of related to the end of days. Of course, I don't want to sound like a nut, or a religious nut, but I can't avoid it, guys. This is what the Bible talks about. It talks about signs in the sky and the end of days. But think about it. That's why we've never actually seen like a UFO crash in public where people, have video of it. A lot of people have made this connection between religion and UFOs, but I think they're looking at it from the wrong angle, right? They're not looking at it from the biblical perspective. And so, that's given way to these ancient alien theories where a lot of these, I think you've probably seen the shows on the History Channel, right? Where they try to make this connection and say that all these religions, all these ancient societies have sort of written down their encounters with UFOs, or written down their sightings, right, on hieroglyphs or whatever it is. And so when these men see this, they see a history of UFO sightings. And, I don't think they are wrong, but I think the truth is found in the Bible, as always, of course, if you're a believer. And I think that, human beings have been seeing UFOs, that being angels throughout recorded history. And I believe that few have seen them. I believe that few have actually encountered them. But I think what we're seeing right now are biblical angels. They're manifesting, and then they leave Earth to the spiritual dimension. Now, of course, I have a brother of mine who has said that maybe some of these could be demons. Of course, now, if we're talking about the Bible, demons are just fallen angels, right? Satan being the principal one, right? The main one, the leader of these angels. But the Bible says that, Satan is the prince of the air, right? Of this fourth dimension, this scientific dimension. So they could very well be demons, but they could also be angels of judgment that God is sending upon earth as we get closer to the end. And, I know it might be hard to wrap your head around this if you haven't read the Bible or if you're not religious at all. But again, this is just my opinion. It's just food for thought. Leave me your comments down below. But before I end the video, I watched the Joe Rogan podcast. I'm sure many of you are aware of it. And, he's big on UFOs. He loves speculating about them. And he has this crazy idea that, first off, he believes UFOs are real. He believes they are here. But he has this weird idea that, they sort of are here to prevent us from going into all-out nuclear war and from destroying ourselves. So he has this weird wish that, UFOs are going to stop humanity from destroying itself. And because obviously we're seeing war right now, and we understand that the human race now has the capability to destroy the planet via nuclear weapons. And so there's clearly this yearning for a savior, sort of, in the face of imminent destruction. And again, that's touching on the on the message of the Bible once again, that there is a destruction that is coming upon the earth, and that there is a deliverance, right? There is a supernatural God. There are these alien beings, however, not how Hollywood paints them, but how the Bible describes them, right? As these supernatural angels, seraphim and cherubim. Forgive my pronunciation if I'm pronouncing those wrong, but you can go look it up. Just Google search seraphim, cherubim, angels in the Bible, and you'll see that the Bible clearly does confirm and tells us that, yes, there are angels, there are beings outside of our planet, but they're from a different dimension. They're not like Hollywood paints them. Now, that might not be according to your liking, that we might not want to believe that, because that would sort of give credence to the Bible, right? Especially if you're against religion and all of that. It might not go according to your own fantasies and your own imagination, but the reality is that the Bible tells us that aliens are in fact real. They're just different than how we've seen them in movies. And so I think these sightings are going to continue. I don't believe we're ever going to have a movie-like encounter like Independence Day, like where we're going to see a spaceship. But I believe one day we are going to have an encounter with aliens, just like the Bible describes them, right? When we see God come in the clouds with thousands of his saints, and one day the world will see these supernatural beings, and I believe the truth will become evident to all. But I don't believe, as I used to, that there is, an advanced species, physical species of aliens, like Hollywood paints them out there in the universe, even in all its vastness. Now, is it possible? Yes, of course it's possible that there are other creatures out there that would not contradict the Bible at all. I'm sure there could be some very intelligent animals, but the very special thing about humans, about mankind, is that we're not just these physical creatures, right? This body, this organism, but we have a soul, right? We have a supernatural element in us that when our body dies, we transcend beyond this reality, because we're sort of a double man, right? We have a spirit and a soul inside of us. And so I don't think there is another creature like man out there in the universe in such a way. Therefore, I don't believe in aliens like Hollywood paints them, but I do believe in aliens like the Bible talks about. Supernatural beings from another dimension, angels, seraphim, and cherubim, which I think is, as I like to say on this channel, stranger than fiction. I believe the truth is stranger than fiction. Anyways, I know it sounds pretty crazy, guys, but that is what I believe. I believe the truth is to be found in the scriptures, and I believe everything we're seeing now is related to that. But let me know your thoughts down below, guys. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of these testimonies we're seeing before Congress. And yeah, I'd like to hear your opinion. Anyways, thank you for tuning in. And as always, remember, the truth is stranger than fiction. Have a wonderful day, and God bless.